It can happen suddenly, and for too many of us, unexpectedly. The ending of a marriage is painful, just like the oyster's irritant. Yet from that irritant, the oyster produces a pearl. A beautiful object is created. If the oyster can create beauty from pain, so can you. So can you. Welcome to episode 2 of Resilient Beauties. I'm your host, Pamela Elaine, and I'm delighted you joined me. Episode 1 was about taking care of yourself. 3 mothers and a daughter of divorce shared their insight and tips. If you didn't watch episode 1 yet, be sure to check it out. In this episode 2, my guests, attorney Crispino Pastore and divorce coach Sheila Brennan, talk about a bounce-back plan. Isn't resilience what we want for ourselves and those we love? Here's a sneak preview of my interview with Chris and Sheila. What do you think keeps us stuck in that dark tunnel?
Not having control, not having a plan, fear of the unknown.
So I left the hearing, literally standing on the steps outside of the courthouse and saying to myself, I will never set foot in a court again.
The advice that Chris and Sheila offer about a bounce-back plan can reduce the uncertainty and anxiety divorce often causes. In episode 3, our final episode, you will meet Sophie Alfonsi Kinnair, who will share tips on becoming happy and finding love again. Divorce is typically contentious, lengthy, and costly, but it doesn't have to be. There are alternatives. According to the National Conflict Resolution Center, there are at least 10 reasons to consider an alternative called divorce mediation. I sat down with attorney Crispino Pastore, who explained several of these reasons. You will be surprised and interested by the facts he shares. You are a divorce attorney mediator, which is different from other types of divorce attorneys. So tell us what mediation really means. What's that like?
Well, mediation, and for a divorce mediator, this is a process where I really sit with a separating or divorcing couple as a neutral third-party partner in the process. So I'm not taking sides, I'm not representing either one of them, but I'm there with the two of them. The 3 of us are there, 3 adults, having a conversation, navigating them, informing them, not advising, but educating them on the legal concepts in the process so that they can be put in a better position to negotiate their own settlement, because in mediation, spouses are going to negotiate their own settlement through our help and our guidance. So that's where I sit, and I'm not advising or representing either one or the other.
Well, you said if they're prepared,
Yes.
if they're knowledgeable. Is that the case, though? Is that the reality, that they come to it prepared, knowledgeable?
Not all women, unfortunately. Unfortunately, and I see this every day. And what we do in our process is we try to prepare all our clients for what they have to do. They have a very awesome responsibility in our program. They have to actually just make their own decisions, So we have to position them in the right way to be able to make the most informed choices, They don't have that facility when they go to court. They're responsible for getting their own support system. And if they don't, they can, very much be at a disadvantage. And the same is true for men.
Chris, do you think that mothers are at a disadvantage in the legal system?
And I would say no. If they properly prepare for the divorce, if they recognize what's needed, because you can't go at this alone. Now, whether you're a mother or a father, okay, male or female, going through a divorce, you just can't go at it alone. You need help. one of the biggest things that I do to try to prevent chaos from happening, let's say, in the mediation room, is to very carefully screen these clients before we start. So are they right for this process? So in the initial consult, I'll sit with them both together and literally tell them, okay, this is what's expected of you in this process. This is how you need to show up. Okay, this is not a my way or the highway. It's not about winning or losing. It's about it's a collaboration to get to an end that is the healthiest outcome for your family. And if they're not committed to that up front, then really the mediator really can't work with them. We ask up front, and we, through initial questioning, what are those things that are most important to this couple? What do they want to address here? Because oftentimes when they go to court, because of the way that process goes, they're oftentimes not able to voice what's most important to them, because they get caught up in this sort of game of winning and losing and winning at all costs. So we prepare them by identifying those issues that are important, maybe those stumbling blocks that they each have that are going to be impediments to the process. And some of those may be emotional stumbling blocks. So in that sense, we do offer them emotional support by sending them out to a group of recommended therapists, marriage and family therapists, divorce and relationship coaches that we know and trust and recommend as our partners to help them along the process. So we offer financial support, financial planning, estate planning, whatever the hot button issues are, in their particular case, we're offering those supports.
Well, divorce is expensive. Is mediation a cheaper route? And I don't mean cheaper as in quality, but less expensive route?
There's no question, and the fees in mediation can't even compare to what a couple could spend going to court. And oftentimes, the more contentious it is, that can result in higher and higher legal fees. So this is why mediation is such a useful and great tool for couples who don't feel the need to conduct their divorce in that way. Oftentimes, though, couples, or spouses in a divorce go into the litigation process with this thought, this sort of idealistic thought, I'm going to go, I'm going to be heard, I'm going to make my case. And I would say, more times than not, they end up being frustrated and disappointed because they haven't had the opportunity to have their say or for their case to be made. And all of a sudden, there's a decision that's handed down that they had no input in, let's say little or no input, but they're being told, by somebody else, this is what it should be, and this is how often you should see your kid, and this is what you should pay, and it's oftentimes not in line with what they expect.
And what does preparation really look like, and where does it come from?
Yeah, well, geez, when you say where does it come from, I can sit here and tell you that, yes, you need to be able to separate your emotions from, your rational thinking in this process. But we all know that's easier said than done. Right?
That's very difficult.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
A lot of it must come from within. You have to. You talk about emotional resilience. You need that in a divorce, going through a divorce, because there are ups and downs in this process every day. One day you're up, the next day you're down, and oftentimes you're so down for so long that it can actually eat you up. It can beat you down, to the point where you can't take it anymore.
It sounds like mediation is a way to take some of the ugly out of divorce.
It's definitely true, and that's what mediation is for. The clients that come to our process and successfully complete it oftentimes are so thankful, and they say, thank God I found this process. And then others that have heard about it too late, let's say they went through a contentious divorce, will often say, geez, why didn't I know about this sooner? So I hear that a lot as well.
when you made the decision that you were going to be a mediator rather than a litigator on the steps of the court?
That's right.
Can you share that story?
I had already had a previous career as a state trial attorney for 12 years, you know, being in court, you know, twice a week, you know. So by the time I come to divorce litigation, I'm somewhat burned out as it is. But then the intensity of divorce litigation just got to me. It was not the right fit for me personally and my personality and the way that I could best serve my clients.
Were you frustrated? Was it frustrating?
Extremely frustrated, extremely. And, you know, it was a typical day for me at the courthouse, and we had a custody hearing. And I was just not able to get through to anybody, to my client, to the custody master, to the opposing counsel.
So you were making your case, but...
Making my case, and nobody was listening. I felt powerless in this process. Now, the attorney's there to help a client, and I felt helpless. So I left the hearing, and, you know, literally standing on the steps of outside of the courthouse and saying to myself, I will never set foot in a court again in a divorce case. And that was the moment where I had that revelation back in 2007, and have not been in a courthouse for a divorce case since.
Whether you or someone you care about is going through divorce, mediation may be a good method. Mediation can be a valuable part of a bounce-back plan. Another valuable part of a bounce-back plan is divorce coaching. Think about it. If you want to lose weight, you get a fitness coach. If you want to grow your business, you get a business coach. If you want a thinking partner and champion through divorce, you get a divorce coach. Divorce coach. What's a divorce coach, and why would anybody need her?
Actually, it's more like, why does anybody not need her? I feel, I wish I had had a divorce coach. And what I do is I work with people to plan and strategize around their divorce. So when they go to meet, especially the first time with their attorney, that they really have thought it through. They've come up with some solutions. They've come up with plan A. Easier to deviate to plan B if you've established plan A. So it really is about planning it. And similar to the way you planned your wedding, which actually lasted probably 5 to 6 hours of your life, I encourage people to plan their divorce. Divorce coach was first mentioned on the internet, like in the early 2000s.
Okay.
And it started in California, no surprise.
Where are you all? Are you hiding in the woodworks? I mean, what's up?
I hope not. Halfway through my divorce, my dear friend who was divorced, said, you should be a divorce coach because you get it. And I said, I'm not really sure what I get because this has been the worst thing that's ever happened to me. And she said, you get it. You understand the numbers. You get it from a negotiating perspective, thankfully. And I don't meet anybody, Pam, that doesn't say, I wish I'd had a divorce coach.
Yeah.
Men and women.
Yeah.
Both.
I think of mothers stuck in this dark tunnel, not knowing if there is light at the end of it. What do you think keeps us stuck in that dark tunnel? Is it not having a plan? What is it?
Not having control, not having a plan, fear of the unknown, living the unknown, not knowing where you're going to come out on the other end.
Yeah.
Fear of being homeless. I think all of those keep you in the dark tunnel.
What's up with that? Why are we not planning?
Because I think that we spend a lot of time emotionally detaching from our marriage. So the emotional detachment takes so much energy and so much time generally, so that you don't really think about the logistics of day to day and how divorce really will change your life. Or you think, I'm done, I'm getting divorced, without a lot of thought to what does divorce really look like?
Yeah.
Because it's a huge transition, significant transition. The person who chose to be your spouse is now on the other, I always say he's on the other team. He's playing for the other team. So if you're familiar with hockey, he needs to check you into the boards. Even if he really doesn't want to, he's playing for the other team.
Okay, so what would a plan look like? What's involved in it?
So if you think about it for children,
Okay.
so what would work for your family? Not what's will be rubber stamped, but what will work best for your family? And with custody being close to 50-50 now, so a plan would be switching on Fridays. Okay, that might not work. How about if we switch on Sundays? So that you talk it through and create a plan for your family, as opposed to the rubber stamp that's really given today by most divorce professionals.
So a plan involves custody arrangement. What else would a plan involve?
Well, it definitely includes financial arrangements, so identifying what your assets are, what your debts are, so it's really what you own and what you owe, and breaking that down into what would work, what makes sense to you. That's not necessarily what will happen at the end, but it's just what makes sense to you. So what I suggest to people is identify the king in your chessboard. So you both have the same chess players. Your kings aren't necessarily the same. Your spouse may have a different king. So the king is what you protect.
Not the queen?
Well, the king first.
Maybe I don't know how to play chess, and that's why I'm asking that question.
The king's the most important.
Okay.
The strength, you definitely have the strength to say this is what I want because she knows what she wants. She's not waiting for the attorney to tell her.
But she doesn't know what she wants.
Oh, wait, if she's worked with me, she does.
Oh, of course.
Right.
Yes, in that case, she does.
You hand your lawyer the bulleted checklist of what needs to be discussed and where you stand on each issue that will be discussed.
You sit in a position of control then. You're the one that really
As the client.
is... Yes, as the client is sitting
Yes.
in the position of control in this case. That's very different than what most of us think about divorce. The attorney tells us what is to happen.
Right.
Not we kind of dictate.
Right. Except that if you think about it,
Yeah.
oh, right, they work for you.
Right. Oh, right.
Because you pay them.
yeah.
They send you an invoice. You pay them. So I think that, I don't know about men, but I think women generally feel that fear of being homeless. And I actually had a client who said, my therapist has worked really, really hard with me so that I'm not homeless and I shouldn't sell the house until I know exactly where I'm going. And I said, you're not going to be homeless. You just will be without a permanent address. Just change the way you think about it. If you're over in Tuscany in a villa for a month, that's not homeless. If you go and rent a house in the Outer Banks, that's not homeless.
I love the way you think.
Too often, divorce is an all-consuming experience. You wonder if you will ever smile or laugh again, even at what was once a painful experience. After Sheila and I had a heavy discussion, we had a little bit of fun with the word divorce. Watch how I took her a bit off topic and her funny comeback.
Divorce is an acrostic. What does each letter in the word divorce stand for in your mind?
D.
D.
D is for done.
Done. Whoa.
I shouldn't know how to spell divorce, right? I probably
I'll
type
help
it 6 times a day at least. I. Introspective. V. Valiant.
Valiant, I like that.
O. Oh my God. R. Redemption. C. Collaboration. E. Everything ships. Can I use 2 words?
Yeah, sure. And what might this skilled divorce coach say about giving up routine comforts that bring us pleasure?
Doing without is okay.
Doing without is okay?
Yeah. Identify again, like what is it that you won't do without? But doing without is okay.
Like what would you do without that would be okay?
Starbucks.
Oh, Sheila. Okay. There is a way to handle divorce that minimizes contention, expense, and time. My guests have offered you alternatives that can make all the difference in your journey. You can get through the dark tunnel of divorce to emerge strong, beautiful, and resilient. Just remember that resilience takes planning, patience, and perseverance. I'm Pamela Elaine. Thank you for watching episode 2, and I hope you will join me again for the final episode 3, when my guest shares how to become happy and find love again. See you next time.